Hello and a good morning, good afternoon and a very good evening to you. I've got my people with you. Hope today I'm feeling grand. Knows when your world. Hello there. Welcome to another Q&A Wednesday, everybody. The second Q&A of 2019. Hello. Yes, let's get straight to it, shall we? Dive in. Question 1. How do you feel about some companies not supplying a proper manual with their products and thus expecting customers to rely on the internet instead? I understand why some companies do it, but I don't agree with it. The Marshall Code being a prime example of that. There was, and also the Line 6. I know it kind of saves on kind of like, you know, it's eco-friendly and this, that, and the other. But I do like to have like an actual manual I can read on the day I get the thing. Like, you know, it's something that's actually there so I can flip through the pages and find out what it is I want to do instead of just kind of like having to go on my computer or go on my phone and like, you know, find exactly what I'm going for. If I just, you know, if I've got the manual, I prefer that. So I understand why companies do it. I don't really like it. I don't like getting a product with no instruction manual. I like manuals. I like to be able to understand. I like to be able to read in a book because like what I want to be able to do. I don't want to have to kind of like go away from what I'm doing to go like if I've got my amp set up in another room and I've got to figure it out and I need to go somewhere else to pick like, you know, to go and do like to find out what it is. I don't really like that. So I don't really like it, but I understand why they do it. If that makes any sense. That probably don't make any sense, but we can try. I don't know about that. But yeah, I don't know. I prefer it. I used to prefer it when you used to get playing manuals and like, you know, pretty beastly playing manuals. I mean, example. He fell over. The Zoom G2 playing manual, operation manual. It's just got everything in here that you'd ever need. And I really like that. And, that's a receipt of when I bought it. I didn't even know that was even in here. But I just like this kind of thing. You know, I mean, I don't know why. I like having manuals. I think manuals are cool, but I do understand why they've put it online. You know, everything's online these days. It's just kind of like more, it's more eco-friendly. It's more accessible online. You can print it off if you want to print it off. I recently printed off the Line 6 HX manual because I wanted to understand a certain few things about it, and a friend of mine wanted to know if you could do certain things with it, and but I don't know. I would still prefer it at the end of the day. I would definitely would prefer it. I mean, people of a tube, what's your opinion on this? What do you think? I mean, are you bothered by not getting a proper manual with the products you buy, be it an amp or a pedal or you know, you don't really need a manual with a guitar, do you? Really, let's be honest. But you never know. It could be one of those kind of like robotic guitars. Yeah, people with a tube, what do you think to this? Because I understand why companies do it, but I don't really like it. I would much prefer to have the manual with the product when I buy it. You know, an in-depth manual, not just kind of like, you know, a side of A4 paper saying, go to the internet. You know, I don't know. Because I like to sit there sometimes and just read through manuals, and sometimes you find things like, oh, I didn't know it could do that. I'm still finding it out about the Zoom G2, and I've had that thing forever. So it's, you know, and stuff like the Line 6 HX, there's just no limits to what you can and cannot do with that thing. And I like to be able to just sit and read that if I'm kind of like, you know, at night or something. If I'm, you know, if it's late at night, I just want to sit and read something. I like to be able to just sit and read these things and go, oh, I'm going to try that tomorrow, or I'm going to try that whenever, and, you know, see if that works. But yeah, people with a tube, what do you think to this? What do you feel about companies not supplying manuals and just expecting you to go on the internet and look it up on there? What do you think? Because, like I say, I understand why they do it, but I don't really, you know, I'm not really for it. I definitely prefer a manual when I buy something. I just prefer that. But let me know what you think, people of tube. Question 1, you also asked, do you listen to any doom metal bands? No. Not really. No, I don't. No, it's not really a genre of music that's kind of on my radar, so to say. If you know what I mean. Like, you know, you've got like everyone's got like a little musical radar, but, you know, stuff they listen to on a regular basis, and that it's just not really on my radar. yeah, and my radar shifts. So you never know. In a year's time or wherever, I might find something in that genre I really really like, and just kind of stick to it. But at this point in time, no, I don't really listen to any doom metal bands. But yes, anyway, hope that's answered your question. Moving on to question 2 now, everybody. Question 2. Question 2 is, what advice and tips can you give a beginner that would make the learning journey a bit more productive and beneficial? Learn what you want to learn is number one. That is the most important fact of when you're learning guitar or bass or drums or anything like this. Learn what you want to learn within the reason of your ability. There's no point learning Yngwie Malmsteen's Far Beyond the Sun if you've only just picked up guitar yesterday, because you'll just get frustrated. But learn what you want to learn. Learn the songs you want to learn. Don't learn theory. As a beginner, I don't think theory is important. What's important is getting stuck into the guitar and learning songs, learning your favourite songs, and just having fun and playing around. No seriousness. It never should be serious. You should never ever be 100% kind of serious when when you're just starting to learn. It wants to be fun. Even that, when you're taking it seriously, it wants to be fun. Nonetheless, if it's not fun, then what's the point? If you're not enjoying it, what's the point? But that's what you want to be kind of focusing on, is having fun with it. Learning your favourite songs via through YouTube lessons or friends teaching you, or you sitting down and trying to figure it out yourself. And just basically just kind of bashing them out. Banging songs out every day, even for 5 minutes a day. You know what I mean? Is enough practice for you to start progressing as a player. 5 minutes a day, playing 1 or 2 songs, depending on the length. Excuse me, is enough for you to start progressing as a player. So that's what I would say: is learn what you want to learn. Don't let anybody tell you any different. If you don't feel you want to learn it, don't learn it. It will be not beneficial to you in the slightest. If you don't want to learn it, don't learn it. It's really that simple at the end of the day. And like I say, learn songs, learn albums, learn songs all the way through as well. Don't just kind of learn, the riff. I know the riff to this song, and I know the solo to this song, and I know the chorus to this song because it's the only bit I like. Learn the whole songs. Because it's really important to know a song all the way through. And it helps you no end as a player when you know a song all the way through. It really does. It just... And also playing along to records gives you that kind of human interaction, even though it's kind of like... what's the word? You're not... It's almost vicarious in a way, but you are still kind of like playing along with people. If that makes any sense, playing along to your favourite albums, be it whoever, you're still playing along with people. You're not playing along to a backing track or a metronome. You know what I mean? You're playing along to an actual band where everyone played their instrument and you're playing along with them. So you kind of like, you technically, you're vicariously part of the band at that point in time, which is really, really cool to think about. And I enjoy that, and I've always enjoyed that thought. So yeah, learn songs, learn what you want to learn, don't let anybody tell you otherwise, and just have fun. That is the most key point of learning an instrument, is having fun. You need to have fun. If you're not having fun, then you need to kind of change the way you're doing it, because if it's not fun, you will eventually get fed up with it, and you will put the guitar down, and you probably won't pick it up again. I've seen it a million trillion times. As soon as it doesn't become fun anymore, it becomes a chore, and as soon as it becomes a chore, it becomes a pain. And once it becomes a pain, you don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would say, really. I've spoken about it all the time, but it is so important to have fun with your instrument and just have, just to sit down and just play along to like 2 or 3 songs a day is enough to kind of really start motoring you on, and then in future years you can start to delve into kind of things like theory and scales and modes and all that kind of stuff that you want to learn. But never, ever learn something you don't want to learn. And especially if somebody tells you you've got to learn it, you don't want to, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. Learn only what you want to learn. It's down to what you want to do with the instrument, not what somebody else wants you to do with the instrument. Always be true to yourself of what you want out of it. If you want to be the next Jimi Hendrix, go after that route. If you want to be the next Peter Green, go after that route. If you want to be the next, Randy Rhoads, go after that route. You know what I mean? Just stay true to yourself and ask yourself, what do you, and this is important, this is mega important, what do you want out of this? You know, do you want to be a technical shredder? Or do you want to be a feel-based player? Or do you want to be kind of like, you know, groove-based player? Do you want to play rhythm? Do you want to play lead? You know, there's multiple things you need to ask yourself that you want out of the instrument. And once you find out what you want, just go for it. That will change over time. You will start, I want to be a rhythm player. And in a couple of years' time, actually, I fancy dabbling in lead and stuff like that. But that's okay. That's evolution of you as a player. And that's what you want. That's what you're after. So, like I say, always do what you want and ask yourself what you want out of the instrument. What do you want it to do for you? Because what you put into it, when you find out what you want, will come back. You will get it back. So yeah, I could waffle on that about that for ages, and I have done in other videos, and I know where this is going. So I'm going to stop myself there. Tangent boy is restrained. Anyway, but yeah, I hope that's answered your question. Like I say, learning songs, learning your favourite songs, learning albums is so important. Learning songs all the way through is mega important as well. So, I hope that's answered your question, everybody. Well, everybody. There's only one person asked the question, David. I don't know. Anyway, moving along. Hopefully. Are we moving along, Dave? I don't know. Are we, Dave? I don't know. Where are we going, Dave? I don't know, Dave. What do you want for tea, Dave? I don't know, Dave. Maybe a toasted tea cake. Or just a tea. Anyway, question 3. Before we get completely committed to being nuts. Have you ever tried to replace the stock speaker in the Katana 50? No. What? I was really tempted, but the speaker I was going to replace it with wasn't a match. I forget what the speaker is in the Katana 50. I can't remember if it's a 4 ohm or an 8 ohm, but the speaker I had didn't match, and it would just sap the power of the amplifier. So I would really like to replace the speaker with a Celestion just to try it, but it's just a case of finding the speaker, and I'll also kind of like, you know, having a speaker that I like. So I'd really like to put a G1275 in, but I think they're 8 ohm, and I think the Katana's a 4 ohm, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember those kind of things. I'm not that clever, especially if it's to do with numbers. But yeah, I haven't tried to replace it. A lot of people have said they have replaced Katana speakers in the past, and it's yielded really good results. And I will say that the Katana 50 speaker does have a high-end frequency. You can't hear it unless you're listening for it, though. It's one of those things. It's kind of like a neurotic thing almost, in a way, but it does have this fizz. But you can't really hear it unless you're going after it. There are times when I'm playing through it and I'll lock into it, and at that point I have to stop playing because that's all I can hear and it annoys me. Much in the same way the Voice of a World speakers have. They have this kind of like high-end kind of noise. I don't know what it is. All I can kind of like relate it to is like a fizzy, buzzy sound, but it's not really... And especially if you're playing live, it's not there at all. If you're playing in a noisy venue, it makes no difference. And if you mic up the amp, it doesn't come through the mic. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, actually. Maybe it's just me being dead neurotic and hearing something that isn't actually there. But there is something in that speaker that kind of like I would like to see if I could get rid of. But again, I don't know if it's just me doing it. That's why I'd like to try. But at this point in time, I don't actually have a speaker I could replace it with. I'm gonna have to look into getting one. I might have to get I'm gonna have to get a Celestion speaker at some point. Just if I can afford to buy one, just buy one and just try it one day and see what happens. See if it makes a massive difference. And I will film it, everybody. I promise, I will film it. I was gonna film when I was in. I was gonna film it the other time I was gonna do it, but when I found out the speaker wouldn't be it'd work, but it wouldn't be the best. You know, especially with the ohms not matching, it would be okay, but I don't really want to do that. I'd rather stick to kind of like, you know, if the Katana speaker's a 4 ohm speaker, I'd rather put a 4 ohm speaker in there instead of an 8 ohm. So, you know, I'm sure it'd be okay. I'm sure it'd sap its power a bit, but I'm sure it'd be okay. But I'd rather match than kind of not, so to say. But yeah, a lot of people have said to me, like, you know, they've changed it and it sounds better because of that. And and this, that, and the other. So at some point, yeah, I really want to change the Katana speaker. I'd like to hear if it sounds any different and what difference it is. Obviously, that's dependent on the speaker, but I'd be very curious. So, yes, hopefully in the future, everybody. Hopefully in the future. So yes, thank you for your question. I hope I answered your question. Moving on to question 4 now. Oh, people of the tube, have you replaced your speaker in your Katana 50? And what speaker did you replace it with? And did it make it better or worse? Let us know in the comment section below. Okay, question 4. What are your thoughts on the Kemper, and what do you think the digital modelling? I really like the Kemper. I think the Kemper is a brilliant piece of kit, and I would love to try one. Not even for its kind of like ability to clone amplifiers. I would just like to plug into it and see what it does, if that makes any sense. You know, just as a standalone amplifier, not trying to model the MG or the CR120 or any of my other amps that I love. Just literally plug into it. What can you get out of it as an amplifier, not a modeler kind of thing. But I really love the idea of a Kemper, but they're well out of my price range. I couldn't afford one of them if I wanted one. You know, at this point in time, they're way too expensive. Especially the powered ones, which is what I would want. I wouldn't want a rack-mounted one. I'd want the full powered one. Just because it would make my life easier if I was ever used one live. But like I say, I can't afford one of them. It's out of my price range. But they just sound... I like the way they look as well. They look like a robot's head. And I just really like the way I like what they do. I like the concept of them. I like their ability. I like everything about them. They're really cool. And you also asked, what was it, sorry? What do you think to digital modelling? I really like digital modelling. I've used digital modelling forever with my Zoom. You know, I've had a Zoom pedal since I started playing. The only year I didn't have a Zoom pedal was when I first started. From 2002 to... Yeah, from 2002 to somewhere in 2003, I didn't have the Zoom pedal. I just had a PV Rage and a jackhammer pedal. My uncle actually lent me a Zoom pedal, but I didn't actually use it. It was an 808, Zoom 808, if anybody remembers those. They're amazing. And then I got my Zoom 606 somewhere in 2003, and then Christmas 2004, I got bought the Zoom G2.1U, which I still use now. I'm using it now as we speak. It's on. It's right in front of me, and that's digital. You know, and I used that for my distortions and, you know, clean tones and effects for ages, and still do now. I still use my Zoom G2 for reverbs and distortions and clean tones and chorus tones. You name it, I still use it. So I love digital. I've never had a problem with digital. Because the whole idea is people saying, oh, it's digital, it's not real, and this and the other. It's like, at the end of the day, if it sounds good to me, I don't care what it is. If it works for me, I don't care what it is. You know, I don't care if it's digital, analog, whatever. You know what I mean? As long as it works, that's all that matters to me. If it doesn't work, I'm not interested. And I don't care about the innards and the outwards of whatever. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter to me so much. It's like, you know, some people only use, like, you know, analog pedals. They will only use valve amplifiers. They will only use this, that, and the other. And it's like, I don't really care. As long as it works, I know I can get the sound I want out of it, then that's all that matters to me. I'm not interested in kind of like being a snob to anything. I like consistency in tone. That's probably about as snobby as I get with sound. Is I like consistency. I like to be able to go to my amp one day, it sound the way I want it to sound, and go to my amp the next day, and it sound the exact way I sound. I haven't changed the settings on my Marshall MG or the CR120 since I got it. You know, I literally haven't changed the setting. The settings are still the same, to a point where the pots are so scratchy because I don't touch them. You know, I do clean them, but they get so dirty because they're just so stuck in one position. You know, that's the only thing I'm a bit of a stickler for, is consistency in amplifiers and pedals. Once they're set, once I have the sound I want, I don't ever touch them again. I don't really ever tweak. Once I've found the sound I like, that's it. That's game over. And that's what digital can do. Like the HX, the HX and the Boss Katana, which I use for gigging now, they sound always the same. When I get to a venue, when I'm doing a live gig, I don't have to tweak the amp. I never really did anyway with the MGs. I never had to tweak the amps at a venue. They always sounded the same no matter where I was. I never had to lower the bass for a bassy room. I never had to boost up the mids for a kind of like a dark room or anything like that. They always sounded the same no matter where I was. And that's another reason why I love solid state stuff and stuff like and analog and digital stuff like that over Valve, because when I did have a Valve amp, I had a JSM 800 and I also had a small box Plexi. I was forever tweaking these things. I remember one gig where after every song I had to tweak the Plexi because it kept fluctuating because of different power in a pub. Pub power is always dodgy. It just takes one person to go to the bandit, put a quid in the bandit, and it draws a bit more power, and it takes it away from your amplifier. And if your Valve amp drops down a couple of volts, 2, it will change the way it sounds. It's why you see people like Angus Young and all these kind of people, Joe Bonamassa, they run their Valve amplifiers with like power stabilizers almost, so like Angus Young's Marshalls want to see 246 volts, say. I don't know if that's actually true. I can't remember what it was they said, but like if that Marshall head wants to see 246 volts, then they can dial that in, because sometimes it can fluctuate. Sometimes you can get 244, sometimes you can get 247, sometimes you can get 245, and the amp won't sound right until it's where it wants to be. And I don't have that problem with solid states. It's just, you turn it on and away it goes, and you don't have to worry about that. And again, I'm tangenting everybody, but that's what I do like. Consistency. I like consistency of tone. I like consistency of tone from pedals and amplifiers. I like to be able to kind of go to it, know exactly what I'm doing, like at any given moment. Like for instance, like if I'm at a gig and my pedal board dies, I have to run back to my amp and go straight into my amp. I know exactly how to set it so I can do the rest of the show without a pedal board if I have to. You know what I mean? And same thing goes if the amp dies, what can I do to get around that? So on and so forth. Can I plug it straight into a PA, this, that, and the other? So yeah, I'm a bit of a stickler for consistency, but I do love digital modelling stuff. I've totally gone off a point. Tangent boy, coming to get you. Anyway, but yeah, I like consistency. Digital and analog give me that consistency that I love so much. There's always a sound that I like, and no matter what I do with it, it's always there, and I love it to bits. So yeah, I love it. I love digital. I love digital stuff. It's my entire live setup at this point is digital, apart from my wah-wah pedal and my guitar, because I've got the Boss Katana and the Line 6 HX, which is giving me all my sounds apart from wah-wah, and so it's all digital, and it just sounds great. Absolutely brilliant. I absolutely adore it to bits. Like I say, and it's just so small and compact, and it's just so easy to move, and it always sounds consistent. Like I say, you already said that, Dave. But yeah, so yeah, I love digital myself. People of the tube, what is your opinion on digital modelling as well? What do you think to digital modelling? Is it something you don't like? Is it something you do like? Because again, this comes back to something I said earlier on in advice journey kind of tips, is you've always got to follow your own path. If you like digital, go down digital. Don't let anybody say, well, no, you need valves or you need analog solid state. You know what I mean? If you want to go digital, go digital. If you want to go valve, go valve. No one should tell you it's wrong, because it's not wrong. It's just what happens to work for you. I use solid state and digital stuff because I say I like consistency. That's what it gives me. It gives me that consistency of tone no matter what's happening. I don't really care for what people say about valves when they say it's organic and this and the other. That doesn't come into it. As long as it sounds good, I couldn't give a monkeys. You know what I mean? I'm not against valve amplifiers at all. I love valve amps. One of my dream amplifiers is a Marshall Super Bass from the 60s. I would love one. An actual proper. I would love a 1968 plexi panelled Super Bass. It's one of my dream amplifiers that I'll never be able to afford, but it's one of my dream amplifiers, and it's a valve. Because it's one of the most amazing amps I've ever played for in my life. But would I use it over the MG or the Orange, given the choice? No, because they're not consistent. I've played through enough of them to know, luckily, and I'm grateful for that, but I played through enough of them to realise how inconsistent they are tone-wise, and that would drive me a bit balmy, and that was the reason I sold my Plexi in the first place, because it was so inconsistent. But anyway, people of the tube, like I say, what do you think to digital modelling? Do you like it or do you not like it? Either way, that's totally cool. You know, if you don't like it, cool. If you do like it, cool. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? People get het up so much on kind of like, you know, what other people like instead of actually looking at what they like. And I feel, you know, you're kind of missing the point there. It's about what you like, not what other people like. Yeah. Guitar, tone, and guitar in general is a personal thing that you need to do. You find out yourself, you know, and don't rely on what other people tell you. It's up to you at the end of the day. It's so important to think what you want out of the instrument, tone-wise, playing-wise, style-wise, look-wise, everything. Don't just follow blindly what somebody said just because that you think that because they think they know better than you. You know better than they do. So if somebody says you need a Les Paul, you want a Strat, go out and buy a Strat. Do not buy a Les Paul, and vice versa. If somebody says you need a Strat and you want to play a Les Paul, go and get a Les Paul. You know what I mean? Same thing with amplifiers. If somebody says you need a valve amp and you want to go for a digital amp or an analog amp or a solid state analog amp, go solid state, regardless of what they say. If you want a valve amp, go for a valve amp over solid state. It's down to you. You're the most important character in this equation when it comes down to everything you do with guitar, pedals, and amplifiers, and leads, and everything else. It's all down to you. All down to you. Okay, so I hope that's the next question. I'm going to move on to question 5 now. Question 5. Is it me or am I motoring through these today? I feel like I'm motoring through the questions today. I've got to say. I don't know. I know I had tangent a bit, but that's what we're here for, isn't it? Okay, so question 5. You don't use tremolo. You don't use tremolo as an effect a lot. Is it an effect you like? Not really. No. Tremolo is one of those kind of. I do use it for recording, but it's not an effect I would use a great deal of. I have tried to incorporate tremolo, especially with the Line 6 HX. It's got gorgeous tremolos in the HX, but I just find I don't really get on with the effect. It doesn't really suit what I want. So I love reverbs, delays, choruses, flanges, phasers, and other modulations, but tremolo is definitely one of those effects that I've never really enjoyed. Even vibrato kind of stuff I don't really like. I don't like vibrato either. It's cool for stuff like, you know, Dust, like John Frusciante's The Taxi of Dust. It's really cool, but I don't really like it. But I will use these effects for recording if the song requires it, or I feel it requires it, or somebody says, could you put a tremolo guitar part on this part? But it's not an effect I would use a great deal of, no. I mean, I think the best tremolo I've ever heard was inside an old Vox AC30. The tremolo in the Vox AC30 is just one of those that's rather special kind of tones. It's just really awesome. The best tremolo I ever heard was in a red Vox AC30 from, I don't remember the year, but I demoed it. But that to me sticks out in my mind as the best tremolo I heard. It was a red one. It was smooth Tolex as well. It was it was like one of those really rare ones, and I got to play for it. It was actually one that Tom Petty wanted to buy from the shop, but that never happened. Silly Billy. Not Tom Petty, the owner. Tom Petty was definitely in the right mind to buy that amp. It was amazing. It sounded absolutely stunning. But yeah. But no, I do like tremolo, but it has its place for me. You know what I mean? And it's never at the forefront of my mind when I go for effects. I would actually pick something like, you know, whammy or a flange or an auto wah even over tremolo. Well, maybe not auto wah. Auto wah is a bit. I don't really like auto wah that much, to be honest with you. I like manual wah. But yeah, I do use it occasionally, but it's very, very lightly. I don't really like. I do love tremolo, but I don't use it. So yeah, you are right in that thing. I think I have used tremolo in the past, but I don't remember where or if I have or what video I used tremolo. Apart from obviously something like a Vox AC30 demo I did back in the old hat days. You know, I would have demoed tremolo then, but other than that, I don't really use tremolo. But it is a nice effect. It's got a really cool quality, especially if you're recording. It's really nice, especially if it's ballady stuff. Tremolo is just gorgeous. Like a light tremolo just kind of floating is really nice. So yeah, I mean, you know, it does appear, but very rarely for me. It's not one of those effects I use a great deal of. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. Moving on to final question of the day, everybody. Question 6. This feels really quick. Where are we? Half an hour. That's not quick, Dave. This has just rocketed by. This half an hour has just vanished into oblivion. Crazy. Feels like I've only been doing it 5 minutes. I feel like I've ruined everyone's questions by rushing. The fear, everybody. I've got the fear. Okay, so final question there, everybody. Question 6. I'm after a Jimi Hendrix, Rory Gallagher tone. Which amp is better for this? Boss Katana or the Fender Mustang III? Can you guess what I'm about to say, everybody? Can you guess? Drum roll, please. That was the worst drum roll in history. Yes, that's right. I'm about to say Fender Super Reverb from 1965. No, I'm joking. He's not a funny man, but he tries. Anyway, yeah, Boss Katana. I cannot rave enough about the Boss Katana. I just can't. You all know how much I love it. You all know, you've heard me ramble on. I will not ramble on too much about it, other than to say it's one of the best amps ever made. I don't know what that face is. It's a bit scary. Stop it. Back to normal. Okay. So, but yeah, it's up there with this thing and this thing. It's just amazing. There's nothing you can't get out of the Boss Katana. The Mustangs are okay, but the Katana is better in my opinion. But this is just my opinion. I can't vouch for too much. I haven't played through many Mustangs, so I can't vouch 100%. But I do prefer the Katana over all the other ones I've tried. It's just got something else in it that's just... It's that, you know what I mean? And it's one of those amps that you can just plug into as soon as you get it, tweak it, and away you go. You know what I mean? It's that quick. When I first got mine, I live streamed it, and it was literally 5 seconds, I had a sound I wanted. And I was just like, that's my kind of amp. That's the way it was when I got my MG. That's where it was when I got the CR120. It's where I got when I got my PV Bandits. I have a CR60, which, you know, most of these amps I don't have anymore because I had to sell quite a lot of them off. I had to be a bit brutal with my amp collection and guitar collection, for one thing or another. But mainly Christmas. But yeah, I like amps I can just plug into and in 5 seconds have a sound I want that I'm happy with. I don't like tweaking. Like I said earlier on, I like consistency. I like to be able to go, da-da-da-da-da, there we go, leave it alone, set it, forget it, move on with my life. You know, just keep playing and get playing. I do not like tweaking, which is why the Marshall Code didn't work out for me. It was just far too much messing about and silly running around and dancing behaviour, to quote Holy Grail. But it did. It kind of peeved me in that way. Whereas with the MG and the CR120 and the Boss Katana, it was plug in, no pedals, da-da-da-da-da, away I go. Happy. I would, any of these amps, the Orange, the Marshall, or the Boss Katana, I could go to a gig with just that amp and my guitar and do everything with that. I don't even need pedals. I would like a wah-wah pedal, if that's okay, but I'd be quite happy without it. You know what I mean? It's one that they're those kind of amps. You know what I mean? It's just, they're just kind of like really desert island stuff. So I would really recommend Boss Katana, especially for Jimi Hendrix, Rory Gallagher stuff. I always found Fender to be a bit... You can normally get kind of fairly good Fender Rory tones out of Fender stuff, but I definitely prefer the Katana. It's just got more versatility. Not to say the Mustang isn't versatile, because it is, but the Katana, it just has something that it doesn't have, and I don't know what that is. It's that snake oil thing that we always talk about as a guitarist, where something's got something you can't put your finger on that makes it just like that. Weird face. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I'd recommend. People of the Tube, what would you say to that? I'm going to ask you again, everybody. Would you pick, for a Jimi Hendrix or a Rory Gallagher tone, what would you pick? Boss Katana or Fender Mustang? Again, leave your comment in the comment section below and let's help this fellow out. But like I say, for me, it'd be Boss Katana all the way. I just adore that amplifier. It's just unreal. yes, the speaker has that weird fizz, but it's only there when you're listening for it. It's not there otherwise, and you can turn that part of your brain off. And especially in a live situation, if it's noisy, you can't hear it. You can only hear it when it's a quiet room, which is normally when you're just playing on your own. And even then, you have to really kind of go, where is it? You know what I mean? It's one of those things. But again, that could just be me dead neurotic, so don't take it as gospel that it's actually there, because it might not be there. It might just be mine, and it might just be my brain going, there's a weird frequency there, Dave, when there isn't actually anything there. So yeah, be that for what it is, everybody. But I spat on my guitar. That's not cool. Anyway, yeah, is there anything else I can say? No, I could gush about the Boss Katana for a million years, and I think I'm going to do another video with the Boss Katana. You know, I did a revisiting video of the CR120. I want to do a revisiting video of the Marshall MG, and I want to do a revisiting video of the Boss Katana as well at some point. Just because they are my three favourite amplifiers, and they're just awesome. That's just me. I'm happy. You know what I mean? If I could hoard CR120s, Marshall MGs, which I kind of do hoard. I've got two of them there. I've got one in there. I've got one in my other room, and I've got one here. I actually recently sold a few because I'm getting too many. I sold them off. I was like, why have you even got these? There's so many of them. I had like a mint condition 100 watt combo, and I was like, I'm turning this Joe Bonamassa, but with MGs instead of tweed amps. Instead of having like all the Fender tweed amps, I'll just have all the Marshall MGs. And I was like, I don't really know. I can't really afford to go down that route right now. Maybe when I'm, you know, older, if I can afford to. But I don't know. I don't know more about it anymore. I'm waffling. You're waffling, David. But yes, Boss Katana is amazing. Anything else to say? No, there's no more questions. I think that's it, everybody. I think we have reached the end of this Q&A session. Weird diminished run. You can play the whole tone scale. Freaky scale, everybody. It's always a scale you want to play. It's got no real bass in blues or anything like that. You can't really use it, but it's just got that kind of weird Alice in Wonderland feel. And then Alice fell down the hole. And the Cheshire Cat came out. Hello, Alice. I've gone mad. What is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Anyway, moving along swiftly from that weirdness that I just pulled out of thin air. Okay, so yes, I really hope you enjoyed this Q&A, everybody. I hope I've answered your questions okay. I hope it's been informative. Like I say, all the things that I've asked you, everybody, leave your comments in the comment section below. I love reading your comments. It's awesome. I love it. And I try to reply to as many as I can, if not all of them. It's hard work, though, to reply to them, because I get so many, but I'm determined. You cannot argue with a determined man, especially a determined Dave. Anyway, where are we? I don't know. We're here. Yes, we are. We're here. Okay, so moving along. Yes, hope I answered your questions okay. Hope it's been informative, everybody. And I will see you again on Friday for another video. I have no idea what it is yet, but we will see when it comes around. And, I need to go. Goodbye now, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. And, yes, I'll see you again on Friday. Have a great one. Goodbye now. Why not?